Look in verses 18 through 24. And again, I pray that you will lift your gaze to see the forest and not get too caught up in any one of the trees. But here we're going to see Jesus now making his defense. He's been brought into court, if you will. They're persecuting him for being Jesus, Lord of the Sabbath, the scriptures say, on the Sabbath. Jesus, no being Jesus on the Sabbath. Think about it. It's like when we saw John the Baptist's disciples earlier. Jesus is interfering with our ministry, John. What should we do? He must become greater. We must become less. Knuckleheads. Right? Stop that. Stop that. Come on, it's all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. Jesus himself now is going to tell us in a courtroom setting, God the Father, God the Son, we are one, we are unified. What he does and says, I do and say. What I do and say, he does and says. You can't separate us. And here's the point, friends. If Jesus is just a religious figurehead, if he is that piece of jewelry around your neck or that picture on the wall, or somebody we simply kind of nod to and give deference to, that's not the Jesus of the Bible. You and I are about to hear Jesus on Jesus. We're going to get a little Christology from Christ himself. And here's my question up front. Ask yourself as we walk through, is this the Jesus you know? Is this the Jesus you love? Is this the Jesus you're willing to defend no matter what? Is this the Jesus you won't compromise with in conversation? Is this Jesus your King? He tells us in verse 18 that he himself is one and equal to God the Father in his person. In verses 19 and 20, he tells us that he is like God and equal to God the Father in his works. In verse 21, he says that I, Jesus, am equal to God the Father in my power and in my sovereignty. He says in verse 22 that I, Jesus, am equal to God the Father in my judgment. And I, Jesus, am one and equal to God the Father in my honor, in verses 23 and 24. And this, my friends, is exactly why the religious establishment is coming to hunt him down. The problem is the clarity. There's too much clarity. I can't get out of the way of this Jesus. I either have to totally disregard him, totally disrespect him, or create this Mr. Potato Head God where I put my own ears and lips and eyes on him and I recreate him. Or I have to surrender to him as Lord and know that to not do that is to be damned. That's the problem. The problem is not confusion. The problem is clarity. And this is what Jesus is driving home. Listen now as we walk through verse 18. This was why the Jews were seeking all the more to kill him. This is why. They heard him, they got it, and now they want to kill him rather than surrender to him. And don't miss this, friends. The God that they claim to be defending and waiting upon and would tell you they were putting all their hope in, they now seek to kill. And I will tell you as a truth teller, and I beckon you to this same platform as truth tellers, you will be treated exactly the same way if you don't compromise with your Christ.